period. But in this market, while it still continue to go up, if it doesn't beat CPF accrued interest, it lands you in a lot of trouble. Okay. Common mistakes in upgrading. Yeah. A lot of overthinking, right? I love this meme. I saw this a couple of days back. I was talking about the stock market right? The first person was like the dude buying the dip. The second person is the person that bought the dip of the dip. Then the third person is the person that bought the dip of the dip of the dip. And for those of you who are in the stock market, right, the dip never seems to end, right? The sniper is the guy that is buying the dippidy-dip-dip, right? Love it, love that meme. Sometimes, you got to make fun of your own misery lah. So not so sad. Back to the topic, yeah. Common mistakes in upgraders make, right? Number one is to go for viewings immediately at the start, right? Never do that. I never ask my clients to do that. Why? Right? Because upgrading as a process is a very emotional process. There's many things that's happening, right? You have like location that you are looking for, you have layouts you are looking for, prices, things like that. So by naturally, right, people will say, maybe I go and I see what's the options out there, I come back, then I plan around it. 99% of the time, that's only going to get you more confused. It's going to get you confused, never mind. It gets you excited, right? And then, you may just jump into it and make mistake, subsequently regretting it. You cannot, and that's not me saying it to scare anybody, because I've met so many clients that say they make that impulse buy. They've went there just to see, actually never think about buying one, just go there and see, wow, looks good, then just make that commitment, regretting a couple of years later. While last time you can afford to make that mistake, because generally the property market will correct itself, or will still move forward, right? Still move up lah, if you have a long enough holding period. But in this market, while it still continue to go up, if it doesn't beat CPF accrued interest, it lands you in a lot of trouble. Okay, so don't go for viewings first, right? Then you'll be asking, Alvin, then do what? Later on I'll share with you, okay? The proper process to go about doing it, okay? Not budgeting correctly, yeah? So normally how people budget, right? They take their salary, they go to the banker, tell me how much I can loan, and then they factor up from there. Personally, I don't think that's the right way to do it. How we do it for our clients, we work our way backwards from what's a comfortable monthly expenditure that you are happy to spend, right? And then work your way up from there to find what is your comfortable budget. Why is that a better way than just using your salary and then going to the bankers? Because the bankers are not going to think for you, what are your potential expenditure 5 years down the road? Okay, they are basing the calculations off total debt servicing ratio, what you can afford today, right? But they are not forecasting what are some of the potential expenditures that you're going to have to incur 3 years down the road. If let's say you're going to have a kid, another kid, after you have the kid, you have to buy a car, after you have to, right, so on and so forth. So if you really want to be detailed about it, because a lot of the fear that comes with upgrading also comes with the uncertainty about the future. Can I really afford this property, right? So if you calculate it backwards from what's a comfortable monthly expenditure, you try to future proof your property financial plan. That gives you a little bit more confidence, right? You eliminate, right? So once the financials are done, this financial rock solid, regardless of what happened. I'll never be in a situation whereby I have to force to sell the property. Then you'll be confident to say, it's just about the holding period. I need to hold it long enough, and I'll be fine, right? Because people only ever lose money if they are forced to sell the property at a time that they don't want to sell it at. Yeah? Right? Being too emotional or too logical about it, right? Last time, people tend to be too emotional. And because of my channel, and I think most of you who are watching my content, right, tend to be too logical. And so need to achieve a in-between lah. Yeah. On opposite sides of the spectrum, very hard to take action. So how do you achieve that balance? Hopefully, by listening to us, and also some of the suggestions that we have moving forward can help you with that achieving balance. And also, sometimes maybe that is where, if husband is too logical, wife is too emotional, not saying that is how it's always the case, or not being sexist in any way, so please don't flame me. Example, just saying for example, right? Okay lah, maybe for husband too emotional, wife too logical, okay? It helps to then have a third party come down and help you with that. So part of my job sometimes when I meet my clients is just to align them in terms of the logic and the emotional parts of things lah. Okay, all right, and sometimes then being, if you are either too emotional, too logical, then you go for viewings, then you are not budgeting correctly, you don't know whether or not that is really the correct budget to be spending, then creates a lot of confusion, right? And then leads on to irrational fear. So there's a difference between rational fear and irrational fear, right? Not knowing whether that budget it's the right budget for you, I say that's rational fear, because then we can just sit down, calculate out the numbers, will speak for itself, and then that's a rational fear to have, and we can eliminate that. Irrational fear you cannot eliminate regardless of how well you plan, right? It's just that what's going to happen. So it's like a lot of the unknowns. So while we cannot fully eliminate irrational fear can be reduced with knowledge, with good planning. Yeah. Okay. Next, trying to tick all the boxes, right? I want size, I want location, I want growth, I want everything. You cannot have everything. Okay. So you got to be realistic about it. If you're trying to tick all the boxes, then you'll never move lah. Okay. So then, of course, next part, right? You got to consider, if you don't do anything, what are your potential exits later on, right? Please text me. Do that CPF calculator for yourself, and then see where that lands you moving forward. Okay, focusing too much on square footage. Okay, so this is I have a case study for this. So a lot of the times when buyers come to me and say, okay, I want to upgrade, and then I need more than 1,000 square feet. Okay, so then you do your whole property Google search, right? You have that bar, no less than 1,000 square feet. No less than 900 square feet, no less than 1,200 square feet. The thing about square footages is that they can be deceiving. I give you one example. These two layouts are in the same development. So this is a 1,033 square feet, 3-bedroom. Okay, right? Living room looks decent over here, right? But one of the things is that the corridor is very, very long, and that takes up a lot of extra square footage. So the actual usable area, I went to view these two layouts with my client, and they actually preferred a 990 square feet 4-bedroom, right? Because not so much wasted space, right? You get 4 full bedrooms, all can put in a queen size bed. So while the living room and dining room now is orientated this way, in the end it was actually a better layout than the 1,033 square feet 3-bedroom. Because notice over here, you cannot have too big of a sofa. If the sofa is too big, you block off the walkway. 990 square feet, you can have if you tilt and put your sofa on this wall, right, you can have a much bigger sofa. You can have your dining table done beside it, together with a good sized television, and it gives you 4 bedrooms. But this unit, had they done the search on their own, they would have never have seen this unit, because they have just set their criteria as no less than 1,000 square feet. So my suggestion for all upgraders, right, be more open about your square footage, right? In your head, maybe you say, oh, I want 1,000 square feet. You can explore upwards from 900 square feet. Do go down and take a look at the units first, then have a sense, right? Another thing is that solely based on square footage, right, you may end up landing a lot on those units built between the early 2000s that have a lot of bay windows. And you know, the units with a lot of bay windows, a lot of the times the square footage is not an actual reflection of the actual usable size of the unit. So for example, a 1200 square feet unit with bay windows, the layout may not be as good as say a 1000 square feet unit without bay windows. Yeah, so that's the reason why I say don't be overly focused on square footages, especially in your search while you are looking through property guru lah, right? Plus minus lah, about 100 square feet, 200 square feet. Just go and take a look at it. Okay.